All right, guys, I'm coming to you live as we go through the new user interface that they brought out in the new update, the version 4.5.1. Now, before I go into that, I do want to go into the update. So I know it's sideways. Please bear with me. At least I think it is. It could have changed it up. Let's go down and look. All right, so the first thing I want to say is when I saw the update come in, I was super excited because it says new features, egg mission token scaling, and Atlas, right? You read more. It talks about all the things that was coming with the update. However, I thought this meant that they fixed things and they would actually be bringing it in, but that was not the case. It's just like suspected that they would not be able to do all those. So let's go ahead and jump in and check out this new user interface together, and let's talk about it. So first of all, of course, you'll notice the first thing is there's not really any changes really that stand out when you first look at your screen. Most everything looks the same. They haven't changed any color schemes. But there are some things that are different. Number one, the top right-hand side, you're going to notice that now your lumber and your food have switched out. So instead of food being at the top, now it's at the bottom, which isn't a huge deal, but I think that this is definitely going to cause some confusion. Oh dear, one of our players is in, and you're going to start seeing somebody get very upset in the chat. It hasn't been in yet. So anyways, the food and the lumber has swapped out. That's going to really confuse some people because they're going to think they're low on the wrong one than the right one. And I don't know why fixing things like that is so important. The next thing you're going to notice is on the left-hand side here, right below my profile photo, is now the league information link, which is the little trophy. This is one menu that they did change, and they put a back button here. And I think you guys were, if you watched my my video in the past where I said, I think I made a video about 10 or 12 things that I'd like to see change in War Dragons. One of them being to get rid of the back button in the den. Because for me, a back button simply means that you're going back in the same menu. An X button means that you're leaving that screen. You would have to reload it in order to access it. So for me, that is one big one. Like I'm not happy that they put back buttons now on numerous things. But now if you need to find it, it's going to be in this area. Now the next thing is, you're going to notice on the left-hand screen is now your tabs. Now this isn't a huge deal, especially if you're a left-hand player, or you're playing one-handed. But I think it's going to be something that it's going to take some people getting used to, but I don't think it's going to take too long. I don't think that, the tabs being moved around is that big a deal. Now, you're going to notice instead of the trophy at the bottom, it's now a helmet. Now, this means this is now its very own rider section. And again, they got that back button there. Now, one of the things you should know is now when you hire your rider, you have to do it through here. So you would literally go select your rider and then click bond to choose whichever one you're wanting to bond it with. Like if I wanted to change this one out, I would go select a different dragon and start bonding from there. That's where you'll add your gear, train, hire more riders, and so forth. Then down here is now your dragon roster. Now on the right-hand side, I did have until I bonded a thing and put it on a perch, but I did have the maximum amount of dragons out. And what I don't understand is if you're going to make this screen a slide up, slide down screen, why make the dragons so small? Either A, make them a little bit smaller and, fill that screen and make it a solid state screen, or B, make them larger and let them all slide up and down like they did before. I don't understand the concept in just adding a slider just so you can add an extra half of each dragon's portrait. I don't know. Unless they're planning to give you the ability to unlock more, I don't understand that concept. It doesn't seem to make any sense. Everything else is pretty much the same. There's no new real added features in this. Unfortunately, they still haven't changed it to where you can see how many evolution stones you have, for example. One thing somebody pointed out to me, though, is if you go into your equip and you select, let's say I unselect the boost here, it doesn't show live the change in your attack power. You would have to go back to your roster for it to actually change it. Equip does not change it whatsoever. Roster. You have to literally go back and forth in order. So it's not streamlined it whatsoever. All right, so that's that part. The next part that I've noticed a change in, of course, is our chat. Now, the first thing I noticed when I opened this up is, wow, it fills the whole screen. The second thing I noticed is, why in the world is the order the way it is? Like, it's league, then alliance, then team, then group. So I would think personally that the top one would be team, which isn't a huge deal. But let's say, for example, you're typing and you're in an alliance chat and your teammate says something, you would be able to quickly click the team tab and go back to your team. Because to me, this should be everyone's main one that they go to. To me, I rarely ever go into league chat. It's not really my place that I like to go. Alliances, yes, but I would think it would be team, alliance, then maybe league and group. I wouldn't think the team would be at the top. But that, again, isn't that big a deal. However, in the league chat or team chat or whatever, in the chat box, there is a serious glitch that's driving me insane. So you can go in here and type and talk to people pretty easily and click send or click done, just as usual. But let's say you're wanting to send an emoji. You can select emoji and all of a sudden your screen, your text box disappears, which is a huge problem, and I'm going to tell you why. The reason this is a huge problem is, let's say I push this and I go back and how are you? Or how is everyone? I cannot see what I've typed before I send it. So talk about some serious issues on autocorrect. You guys are definitely going to have a lot to turn in. Now I can't see what I'm doing. If I click done, it sends it. So there is no other options. Like, you know what I mean? So, well, there it did it. Let's see. It must only be whenever I'm using this thing. So let's say I do that. Oh, it's not doing what it did. Wonder if it's just in my team chat. Let's try this. Oh, now it works. Well, that's fantastic. Maybe my phone was glitching. Well, anyways, it does bring it up to where you can't even see what you typed. And before, whenever I clicked the screen, it would not do anything. It would literally just get stuck. So, fantastic news. It must have just been my phone. If anybody else is having issues with that, let me know. So that was the one thing I noticed. The next thing is, okay, if you're going to put the back buttons, then let's put them in all the areas. Like, you go into the den. It has that little back button. But you go into stuff like manage team. It's still an X. Go into the breeding castle. It's still an X. So it's like, okay, so now we're having to get used to all these different ways to get in and out of menus. I don't understand that concept. Now, one of the things I do love about this is the fact that you can go look at somebody or their base in full terms. Like, you can go look at it full screen. That alone is a fantastic feature that they've added in. Nothing's in your way. It's beautiful. I think, again, this is one of those things where these tabs, we'll get used to it. That's not going to be a big deal. I think that, you know, at first this is just going to feel weird getting used to the new user interface, but we would definitely get used to it. However, there was something that popped up earlier, and I don't know if everybody's noticed yet, which is free XP has been either banned or gone inactive. Just a big warning for y'all. I don't know what happened there. All right, so let's talk about my review on this. The so far part of this, because remember, The other things have not happened. They've not changed anything in Atlas. They haven't updated, of course, your missions or whatever. But outside of that, what's my personal thoughts on the new UI? Well, my personal thoughts are, I don't understand why we would change up 50% of the menu bases, including, for example, let's see, in this area, like the settings menu. I don't understand why we would change all that up if there's other games or issues in the game that we need to focus on. I don't understand that concept. So when it comes to the new user interface, I'm not thrilled that I have to learn it and get used to it, but I don't think it'll be one of those things where it's going to take weeks or months or anything like that to get used to this. I think it'll be a lot smoother than what we think. Now, a friend of mine said that they've noticed on their device anyways, a much smoother, attack when they go out and they attack other players with the new UI. So that's fantastic. I didn't really have a whole lot of glitches in my attacks, but if that is changing that for other people, then that is definitely a great feature that has changed in this. In the store, that is another one, by the way, that looks different. Unfortunately, I wish it was one of those things where you could actually see some of your, more valuable stuff at the top. Like, we already know how much food and lumber we have. We already know how much tokens we have and rubies. So I really wish they would make this something where you can see the things that you barely see. Like, maybe a tab that says your evolution stones that you earned, or at the top it says how many egg fragments you might have for the mystic fragments and so forth. The things that you have hard time seeing any other time. So that would be the only... Good morning. The only thing that I would say that I would have loved to have seen change there. So, yes, the new user interface. Definitely something to get used to. Not terrible, but I'm just not thrilled that, that was the focus, was to add, a new chat box feature that, again, I would have put the team at the top, and they probably should have made sure that it would be compatible with emoji keyboards. And then, of course, I think that now the writer having its own menu is going to be extremely confusing for many, not everybody. I think it'll get easier. But I just really wish they would have focused on the issues that are in the game more, things that could have made things more streamlined. For example, when you email your team, if someone emails you back, the entire team gets that email. And a lot of them don't understand that, especially new players. So I would love to see a reply all feature added into there. Yeah, I figured you do. So it's not like I'm like unhappy with the UI. Don't think that at all, because I'm not. I think that it's pretty cool. But like I said, there are a few things I would like to see fixed, like this. Like, do you have that issue on your Psycho? Getting your emojis, which, oops. See, now it's not going to do it. See, that's what I was talking about earlier. So now, like, how do I get back down there and see what was there? So I'd have to go into another chat room, come back to the team chat room, and finish. That really sucks. So the other thing is I want to talk about with you guys is an issue that happened in our team, just to forewarn anybody else that has teams out there. Now, this is also in the forums. We've discussed this with everyone. But there are a few, we'll go into quests and show you team contributions, because this is where it all lies. There are 2 players here, Angel Wings and Ashteka. Now, they've been with our team for many, many months, many, many moons. And yesterday, a player left our team. Good morning, Diego. A player had left our team and went to another team. And then so did another player. So my daughter, when one left, asked if she could rejoin the team. And I said, sure, yeah. Okay, no problem. Didn't even think about what might happen. So she played on it that morning. And then my other daughter's like, what about me? So the other player that left ended up being in an alt so that she could join as well, because they're playing again. I don't know. I'm pretty excited about that. But anywho, the point being is they joined after the event began. When I say it began, meaning after the time frame where we actually do chest hunting. They didn't join until yesterday morning. The actual event started the day before. So we're talking a good maybe 16 hours after the event started. So I get a message in the chat room, Ashteka, saying, why can't I attack? And the event had been going, I think, live where you could attack other players in the PvP for maybe an hour. And we're like, we don't know. So I look and I notice that both of my kids' accounts are available to attack. They're allowed to attack in the event and so forth. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? But they didn't join until after the event started. We've done this before where they jump in or whatever, and that was never an issue. You would go in, there'd be no quests for them to even do. The quest tab wouldn't even be available to them. But apparently, even though you'll see here from player 15 all the way down to 50, there are 0 points on the board. Nobody's contributed to the actual team. But when I got a hold of PG to say, hey, look, what has happened? I've got 2 players here that are ineligible to attack. What do we do? They explained that because 2 had actually joined, they get moved to 51. Right, but see, that's what I'm saying. If you go over even into our teammate contributions, 38 of 50 has not done anything. Now, I want to tell you one of these players, I'm not going to tell you who, but one of those zeros, I know for a fact, is in not touched this game at all this time around. Like in the last few days, because they are literally on a submarine as we speak. And they've been on, gone for days. So we know for a fact they didn't contribute anything into the quests. So did it choose people at random? I mean, I don't understand that. Why these 2? Why are these 2 chosen? Because I know for a fact they hadn't played at all. And again, the players that did some quests but didn't make any points are still here. They're listed. But, I mean, we're talking 0 points. Solo, for example, he left our team. He's one of those that supposedly contributed, so can't stay. And he's got 0 points on the board. I kicked out of my friend's alt, and it has 0 points on the board. So it's like, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand. If you've not made any actual contributions, how are those counting? So what they're saying is, if let's say down here at this bottom one, you get one of those 45, you have considered progression towards contributing to your team. So if you come in and you send out resources real quick and you leave because you can't really play right now, this means you're screwed. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Let's say somebody leaves and comes back in. You have now played. So when Solo left, he had sent resources out before he left the team, not probably thinking about it. And he joined some other team. I can't remember what team it was, and it really doesn't matter. But when he left us, he apparently had put points on the board. But there are 0 points again, so I don't understand that concept. So I'm like, okay, fine, I get it. All right, but now these players are messed out of personal points achievements. That's all I'm worried about. I don't care about team achievements, helping with the team. But these players now can't even get personal points. So what would happen if they join another team that has less than 50 players so that they can still get, their stuff? I mean, after all, they haven't got anything, 0 points. And I got a reply and they said, nope, unfortunately, because this is a team-based event, they won't be able to get points. So what I would like to see is, number one, everybody, forewarning, I would say the moment that the event goes live for 48 hours, and this is going to be our new rule, nobody's allowed to join the team. I tried to explain to one of the other players is, you really got to get in there and get your, do some attacks. But basically it feels like they're forcing people to partake in the quests, even if you're not. So anyways, what was I going to, oh yeah. For the players that are being screwed out of points, I think that there should be a whole other battle screen for them where they can attack whatever base. Like, for example, in the Kingdom Wars, they've added where you can attack your own capital for personal gain, but it doesn't give your team any kind of points. So I think that that needs to happen in all PvPs, which is a good rule. Oh, the 48 hours, yes. So, anyways, with the situation when these things happen, I really think that they need to make where there is a dummy island, in this case, for example, where all of these are locked for someone that's not allowed to partake in the event, but there's one maybe extra island that they can attack for personal achievement points. Because this is a really bad time to be screwed out of these points, with this being double sigil time. I mean, this is not a good time to be messed up on this. I really, really feel bad for the players that have been screwed out of this chance. I really do. So, I don't know. And you want no, this is another thing that bothers me. So, let's say you do join a team. And you join this team and you don't know it yet. And then they decide that they don't want you on there. Before you even get a chance to even make any personal points, they could kick you out and then you would be screwed out of participating anywhere else. I mean, this really puts a lot of control in the hands of other players, and I don't like that. That makes me very uncomfortable. Or let's say that you want to mess up another team. You could simply go join another team with some alts you may have, or have another friend do that may have an alt or whatever, and leave them just to leave them 5 players short before the actual event starts if you do a quest. I feel that the quests for the events and the actual events should be completely separate entities because they are technically separate entities. You get different prizes, you get different point structures. They're completely different. So I don't feel like a player that's come in late or leaves late or whatever, it should be affected in the battle part, but they should be in the quests. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. So that is my thoughts on that. Now, you might say, well, wait a minute, this has always been a rule. But I'm going to be honest with you. I have another team. It's for anybody who has alts, we just kind of hang out in there. And it was supposed to be a training team, but I just don't have time for that. But there's been times I bring an alt in here, and then before I get a chance to put it back in the other team, when I boot it for somebody else to be brought in, I would go to the other team after an event began, and my quests wouldn't even be available to me, even though most people aren't even playing on those alts. But because I joined after the event started, those quests weren't available to me. And then because those quests weren't available, I was still able to partake in particular events like the breeding or whatever, but it would make me ineligible to add into the team. You see what I'm saying? Like the team wouldn't get it. So I don't understand this concept. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. But yet, let's say I boot 3 players tomorrow. If someone joins us at the very end, the very last day, they get the team prizes, even though they didn't help technically. So I think that there needs definitely be a change there. Anyways, guys, I have a lot to do today, so I didn't want to go through the headache of trying to make a edited video just to tell you guys my thoughts. So my end result on just this part of the review, the UI, which is the 2.50.1 update, I say I give it 4 stars. Not because I don't like the user interface. I don't think it's bad at all. I just would have liked to see them update all the menus. If you're going to put back buttons on 5 different menus, then why not all of them? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. So that's my concept. But I'm not like hating on it by any means. I'm not in love with it, but like I said before, I think within a week's time, most people are going to get used to this interface. So get in there, dig around in there, and get used to it so that you're not struggling with it. If you do have any thing you want to add to this review, once this video is uploaded to YouTube, please feel free to put that below. And because of the new chat issues, I'm guaranteeing there's going to be a lot of issues in here, a lot of misspellings. So make sure you guys screenshot those and send those to me on any of my social media accounts to enter into next week's contest. Or next week's contest. All right, guys, I will chat with you later.